Well, welcome to another edition of Wine Time Yakima. We're back here at the Yakima Visitor Center, and we want to say a very big thank you to them for hosting us today. They've got their Christmas decorations out, actually. It's really beautiful in here, little Santa's grotto. And it's a great place to visit, have a glass of wine. And we're having a glass of wine this week with somebody who's very familiar to KIMA Action News viewers, and that's Mr. Austin Peppers. Austin, so nice to see you.
So nice to see you again, as always, JKO.
We only saw each other, 10 minutes ago at the studio?
About 10 minutes, yeah.
But we actually don't see each other much outside of work, in fact, ever really. We occasionally go to a social event, etc. So this is a great opportunity for me to get to know you a little bit better. And you chose a rosé for wine this week.
Yeah, rosé of the wines is my favorite. I love rosé. It's very good. I mean, I like white wine occasionally as well. Red is probably my least favorite of the three, but the rosé is pretty good. I love that.
Well, this is from Freehand Cellars. And it's a 2022 rosé from the Yakima Valley. So cheers.
Wow. Yes,
hope you made a good choice. I'm sure you have. I like rosé too. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, that's very
what I like
good.
about it.
I like that.
That's very nice. Nice and sweet. That's good. Now, when I first met you 2.5 years ago, you weren't even old enough to drink.
Yeah. I started when I was 20 years old, back in the Jake Taylor era, his final few weeks there at the station. Yeah, I started at KIMA when I was 20 years old. A couple months later, I then finally turned 21.
Because you went off to Vegas for your 21st.
Yeah, I went off to Vegas for my 21st birthday. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Went there for about 4 days and 3 nights. Stayed at the Horseshoe over there, which used to be, I think it was called Bally's. I think it used to be
That's
over
right.
there.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun.
Have you been back to Vegas since? How much did you lose?
Not as much as I thought I would have lost, but I would love to go back to Vegas. Vegas was one of the best vacations I've ever been on. That and Nashville, I would say, are my two most favorites, and those are two spots that I would definitely love to go back to. A lot of fun.
It's funny because when I first came to the United States, and I traveled everywhere, I really did, and when I arrived in Vegas, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I just couldn't imagine a place like this exists. And I've been back many times since, and now I hope I never ever see it ever again. The novelty wears off really quickly.
Yeah, I guess it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it was a lot of fun when I was there. Obviously, first time experiencing it, but it was a blast.
Now, your life has changed a lot. I mean, obviously, you came to us as a 20-year-old. That was your first gig, but you are now, of course, at just the age of 22, a married man. You've recently got married. Yeah,
I just got married. My wife, Alyssa, she's the best person I've ever met in my life. She's my soulmate, and I love her so much, and very thankful to have her in my life. And ever since taking this sports job as well, she's been there by my side throughout the entire journey, been helping me throughout everything. And, she's just really been the best life partner I could have asked for.
And you've done something a little bit, what I consider is unusual, but I understand now this is fairly common. This is not unusual anymore, is that you've had your civil ceremony, you actually sort of got married, but that was very, very low key. That was something that was just simply a legal requirement, if you like. But you're planning a really big wedding for next year, even though you're already married. Now, for a very old man like me, that sounds the wrong way round. But this is quite normal now, I think. Yeah,
I've been seeing it a lot more and more now. We just did a little thing in front of parents, siblings. My step-grandmother was the reverend for the wedding, and so big shout out and thanks to her. So that was very kind of her to do that. But that's just very small, wanted to keep it simple. And then we're gonna do the rest of it in May of 2026 when we have our big wedding. Shout out to Spring Creek. That's where we're having our wedding.
Okay, well, congratulations. It's something we're all looking forward to as well. Now, I want to go back a bit because you grew up here in the Yakima Valley. You actually grew up here in Yakima, I think, in the West Valley?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Yakima, out not quite the West Valley, like the country part of Yakima, like outskirts of the city of Yakima, over like in the 72nd Avenue area type was where I grew up and was raised my entire life. I went to West Valley High School, went through the whole system there. White Hollow was where I went to elementary and then went through it all in the school district. And
your mother is, of course, a teacher. I've been lucky enough to meet her a couple of times. And she teaches through ESD 105.
Yeah, she does work with ESD 105. Now, she did used to teach at West Valley not West Valley High School. She used to teach within the school district, She taught for several years at Cottonwood Elementary, which is a part of the school district. She was a kindergarten teacher for a little bit, and then for most of her career there was a third grade teacher. But she actually did get started over in the Mabton School District as well, and then made her transition over there. And yeah, now she's with good old ESD 105.
Now, I'm guessing she's been a big influence on you in terms of your education, because you took an accelerated course. You graduated from Central Washington University before most people are even starting there. What was your goal? I mean, what were you hoping to get through education? And why were you not daunted, I suppose, by going through all of this really very early in a young person's life?
Well, I wanted to take advantage of it, you know. And when I went off to college, you know, I know student debts and loans are quite crazy, and I knew doing this route, doing the running start, would be very beneficial. It would help me get those college credits while I'm going to high school at the same time, which would help accelerate that process. And that's what I really wanted. I want to take advantage of opportunity, try to have little debt on me, which thankfully I was able to have that. And then while also staying here while I'm going to college for a little bit as well, because I stayed for a year after I graduated from West Valley, and then I only had to go to Washington State University for 2 years as opposed to your typical 4 years that you would go, and barring you want a master's or anything like that. But that's what I really wanted, just try to accelerate that and try to take advantage of those resources.
I think I'd be very daunted by that, but that wasn't daunting to you.
I mean, it was a little daunting at first, you know, getting that new experience, because I was having to go through high school and college essentially at the same time. It was a little daunting at first, but once I got the hang of it, once I got used to the lifestyle of doing college coursework, because it's completely different from high school work, once I got used to it, I got comfortable, and things were essentially smooth sailing after that.
But despite the fact that you wanted to accelerate your education, you also knew very much what you wanted to do.
Yes.
And that was sports journalism, or just general journalism. It was a kind of combination of the both.
Sports is what I've wanted to do my entire life, essentially. I remember early memories of when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I'd be watching Seahawks games and Mariners games, and that's something that drew to me like that immediately, and that's something I've wanted to do my entire life. I was just growing up around sports, so it's what I've always wanted to do. I just love it so much.
And you studied under Ryan Broom also at YV Tech.
Yes.
And a lot of KIMA people have come to us from YV Tech, so that must have been very, very helpful as well in terms of getting your feet wet, if you like, in broadcasting.
Yeah, and Ryan is very good with that program. He does a fantastic job. I only did one summer quarter with that. I want to say it was in between my sophomore and junior year, I want to say, when I took it. It was the summer of 2018, I believe. But he did a fantastic job. I enjoyed my time throughout it. I regret not doing that class more than just the one summer quarter, but I really had a lot of fun, and it really did help me get those skills for essentially what I do today.
So you came to us, KIMA, as a general news reporter.
Yeah.
But you still had that passion. It was still sports you wanted to do. And one of the things that you've really enjoyed doing, and I know you've done a lot of, is play-by-play announcing.
Yes.
Which is stressful.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with play-by-play announcing. I did a little bit of practice, you know, over at Washington State University when they would have their games happening, whether it was volleyball, I've done girls soccer, basketball and baseball. Whenever there was an opportunity, I would take advantage of it and take that practice to play-by-play broadcast. And then on my time off as well, I'll go back to my alma mater, West Valley High School, and help them with some basketball games on Saturdays and stuff like that, and do some play-by-play, because they have a network, Bighorn network, that they have there as well. But that has been something that I've absolutely fallen in love with. That is something, even to this day, you can ask my wife. I will practice play-by-play. I'll put on an older game, and I will still to this day practice doing play-by-play broadcasting as the game goes on.
And what is the skill sets needed for that? Because it requires incredible attention,
Yeah.
but also being able to talk about everything that's happening and also logging in your head what's happening at the same time.
Yeah, so when I would do it, you know, well, sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. You'd have a stat sheet, so taking stats while you're doing the announcing is a skill that is very much needed. Taking stats as they happen, paying close attention to who's out on the court, because substitutions and stuff will happen all the time. Make sure you have rosters in front of you to help you gauge who is who and what position they play and all that sort of stuff. Those are some skills that are very much needed and very helpful for that. And just attention to detail, just paying close attention to what's happening out there, follow along as close as you can, try not to get distracted or anything like that. That's really key for being a sports broadcaster.
Now, you and I actually arrived at the station more or less at exactly the same time. So it's been very good for me actually to work with somebody like yourself, very enthusiastic, and really work together more or less from day one. How have you found the transition from doing news reporting into sports reporting? Because news wasn't really your interest. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? You wanted to be into sports, but you accepted the role of the news reporter and were working very hard at that. But it's a big transition then to make the change.
Yeah, I knew news reporting would get me one step closer and help me get to that sports journalism role because, news isn't exactly what I wanted to do, but it helped me get that story detailing down and editing and the script writing and all that stuff down. It helped me gain those skills and further get those to the sports to where I wanted to be. So I knew that would help me get to that even better. And, working with Alan Sillens, I had grown up watching KIMA, and on the TV was Alan. And sometimes back in the day, I remember Scott, who was an hour 11 p.m. He was the 5 and 6 p.m. anchor back in that day as well. Then, of course, we had Jake Taylor, and then now you as well. Making that transition was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. I've actually, like I said, sports is something I've wanted to do my entire life. And I thankfully have had that practice of doing some sports stories at college as well. And I think I had done a couple for Alan as well prior to taking that job. So thankfully that little bit of experience in doing a couple of sportscasts for Alan, replacing him, helped me thankfully make that transition a little easier because I had that little bit of understanding of, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I should look for. And this is how I should make my sportscasts and all that. So I think having that experience kind of helped make that transition a little smoother.
And I'm curious about your inspiration though, because obviously you clearly grew up watching TV news. That's quite unusual for your generation. Most people your age, and certainly younger, don't really watch TV in that sense anymore. They absorb their news from other sources, etc. Was that just something that was a habit in your household? There's something your parents did, therefore you sat and watched? Or were you just drawn into it, thought from a very young age, oh, I really like this, and you wanted to follow it and you wanted to watch it?
Watching the news is kind of almost common in my house. It's something that we've done all the time, whether it was KIMA or some other station, we would watch news. I remember waking up, I would wake up before school at 5 a.m. and be watching the 5 a.m. news with my mom or my dad or whoever it was that was with me at the time. I remember watching it that early, and I was so curious by watching it all, and I enjoyed it, but that's something that I've always really grown up around, is watching news, whether it's the morning or evening. I never watched the 11 p.m., but working for the 11 now is very interesting. But it's something that I've always done, watching the news.
Well, it's great because we need to encourage the next generation, of which you are very much a part. And in fact, all of our reporting team are very much the next generation. But it's harder to find those people who have that connection with broadcast news because it's just not part of their lives anymore. Do you see the future of broadcast news being secure in that sense? Or do you think most people of your age group and now younger will perhaps drift more into social media and online news and reporting?
Yeah, that's what I kind of think. I hope not, but social media has been very powerful in the past decade, and even more so with my generation, Gen Z. We use social media a lot, and not just for news. We use it for a lot of stuff, to sell stuff, to just post silly pictures and stuff like that, So my generation's really evolved with social media, and I hope that's not the direction it goes. I would like to see more people continue to go with broadcast news, because that is, to me, as a Gen Z, that is the best way to get your news, is watching it live. I mean, yeah, the social media, you got quick links and got stuff like that to be able to access it quickly, but that's really, I hope that's not the transition we see it going to. I would love to see it stay with the broadcast news.
And how would you encourage somebody who's coming up now through high school, wants to get into broadcast journalism, but believes that means they just need a Facebook Live page and they need their own website and all the rest? What would you encourage them in terms of how to pursue a different dream, a traditional path?
Watch a newscast. Okay. Watch a newscast, see how it's done, see what it's like, or even ask news stations like, hey, can I intern, or can I see how things are done here, and see what that process is like? Because not only do you get that experience, you get the in-depth details of what's happening, whether it's sports or news or whatever it is, take that advantage, watch a newscast, ask them if I can sit in and see what it's like, or internships. I almost did get an internship. That was something I was interested in, but internships would be a great advantage to have if you want to do broadcast news. But those are a few things that I would say would be very beneficial and useful if you want to go in that route and doing broadcast news and not doing Facebook Lives every day for your stories and really nothing else. But that's what I would say. Those, just watch the news and read some articles as well, because that's another key component in our world as well, writing articles, because there might be stuff on the news that you see that may not be covered on articles, because we have so much to cover but so little time to pack it all in there. So read some articles as well and see what that is like as well. That's what I would say.
Now, you had probably the most daunting opportunity, but still a great opportunity presented you after you were still with us very relatively short period of time. I think you came in June 2023.
Yes.
And by this time last year, really, October, November, we knew that Alan Stillitz was going to be retiring. And you replied through the process, and we were delighted to be able to offer you the position of the sports anchor. But that's extremely daunting, surely, knowing that you're taking over from someone who's been with the station for that long and is so ingrained in the community and so recognizable. How did you approach that and just think, no, I'm going to make this my own?
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. The one thing I heard the most was, you got big shoes to fill. And I've heard that from coworkers to people out in the public. When I was out and about, I heard it from so many people. But when the announcement was made of Alan retiring, that was like, okay, that was go mode for me. Let's go.
I can't remember now. Had we already offered you the position at that point, or did it come later? I can't remember which way around it was. Because we did keep Alan's retirement under wraps for a while.
I want to say that was after.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right.
But once that initial announcement was made, that was go mode for me. I wanted to, because this is a big opportunity for me, and I wanted to try to take advantage of it and try and get that position. And especially being in an area that I grew up in, I've watched a majority of these local schools for many sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, you name it. I wanted to, and especially here, I knew that was going to be very beneficial for me. It's an area I grew up in and was raised in my entire life. And, I wanted to try to take advantage as quick as I could. And so once that announcement was made, it was go mode for me. I wanted to start putting my resume reel together, finding all the clips that I've done of sports, either myself that I've done at the station, or have assisted with Alan for Friday Night Fever, or doing sports stories for him and stuff like that, or even weekend stories, because I had a weekend shift before I took that job from Alan. I had a Wednesday through Sunday shift.
That's right.
Yeah. It was time to start putting that resume reel together, getting that application together, making sure everything was in ship shape and looked well. And then I wrote down some practice questions as well for interviews of what I thought would be asked, and I would try to read those and then try to practice some responses out loud to myself. So I was preparing as hard as I could to try to get this job.
Which showed, I mean, and that was very, very clear when you interviewed for it. But how then, once you got the position, did you approach it thinking, as you say, people are going to continually saying to you, oh, you've got big shoes to fill, and you're filling in the role of somebody being there 35 years. How have you approached making it your own? Because you have.
Yeah, the first thing I did was kind of look and see what all was happening. I know Alan had some stories that he liked to stick with, and then I was looking to see, okay, what's available and all that. And I saw some interesting things that were out there that maybe haven't gotten coverage a lot of the times, like the WIAA RPI rankings athletes of the week. I thought like, hey, that's a good way to show off our local athletes and teams, see how they're doing and highlight those players that are being recognized by the head honcho of sports for the state of Washington. Those are some things that I really wanted to incorporate and try to involve some new things as well and try some new techniques to try to make it my own, to try to because I feel like when I first started out, I was very much like Alan, and I noticed that, and I wanted to try to shift away from that and being more myself, because admittedly I'd noticed that, and I wanted to try to get away from that. And hopefully I've come across as just showing myself now and not so much like Alan, like how he would do it, but it's just really involving new techniques, new styles, and new types of stories that could possibly see coverage and all that. That's what I really wanted to try to do with my sports when I first started.
So you've done 2.5 years. Do you think you're going to make it to 35?
I don't know, man. We'll see. I mean, 30, that's amazing for Alan to do that. I mean, because I know that's not where he started. I know he actually started with our other station, a rival station, if you want to get technical, KNDO, NBC. And then he went over to, I think it was like Seattle and then New Mexico. I can't remember his exact journey, but I know he was in New Mexico for a bit and then came back over here. But 30 years in one area is unbelievable. If I don't know what my future holds for me, obviously. If I'm here for 30 years, awesome. If not, awesome. I mean, we'll see what the future holds, but I would love to stay here in Yakima as long as I possibly can, because this is home for me. I love being here in Yakima. I love being with my family and having them close by to me and spending that time with them as well. So I would love to stay as long as I possibly can.
Well, I am sure you will. I mean, this is the thing about hiring somebody local who grew up here and is already putting down very established roots here. You've just bought a house in White Swan, is that right? Or Harrah, that's right. So you're really establishing yourself here. So we hope you're going to be here for a very long time to come.
Thank you.
And your dad, actually, your stepdad, is a very talented musician.
Yeah.
So no ambition there. Are you musical?
No, I did play music in high school. I played trumpet. Actually started in 5th grade up until my senior year of high school. I played the trumpet, was in concert band, and did marching band all 4 of my years in high school. And my stepdad, he's always like, you need to get your trumpet and get on stage with me and play some songs with me. I was like, yeah, no, this is
no,
as much as I enjoyed band, it was not a career for me. I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was a fun activity that I absolutely loved doing in high school, which I would say carried most of my high school life besides playing baseball and stuff. But that's one thing I truly enjoyed doing.
Well, if you've still got the talent, though, you can still do it for yourself and to keep, practice. You don't necessarily have to do it on stage.
Yeah,
but it would be fun to join him on stage.
My trumpet is still in storage, but it's buried, so okay. I'd have to dig through quite a bit to be able to get it, and my chops probably wouldn't take it anymore because I'm so out of practice. When you first play,
it's tough.
You feel it. It's like, oh, geez. But once you get back in the rhythm again, it's like, oh, it's nothing. It's easy. But yeah.
Fair enough. Now, how is the wine?
It's really good. I do
nice.
Love this.
This is, as I say, the Freehand Cellars, and this is a 2022 rosé. It is very nice, and I've been drinking away. Well, Austin, it's been a delight, but we always end with some either-or questions. So let's just dive into those. And I think I know some of these answers already, actually.
Alrighty.
So, watching sports or taking part?
watching sports. I mean, I played sports growing up as well, which I absolutely love, but now in this day and age and how inactive I am, definitely watching sports.
No, you can't be inactive at 22. No, that's not good. So what did you play or do you play? What do you like to play?
I played football, grade kids football for a year, and then I actually had started, my first experience was soccer, never again.
Oh, really?
I was 5 years old and all the goals I scored were against our team. So it was a bunch of own goals. And then football for a year, which I regret not going back, but at the same time, I don't, because the whole CTE thing with football, that's the only thing that made me not want to go back to football while I had that urge, because I didn't want to risk developing that, because I know that's been big recently. And then it was baseball for about 9 seasons, between third grade to my junior year of high school.
Well, I think I know the next question, because I was going to ask soccer or football.
Football.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, football.
Because in English, football is football.
Yeah.
Anyway, now, the Mariners or the Kraken?
Mariners or the Kraken? I'm going to say Mariners. Although I've been meaning to get more, I haven't done much with the Kraken since I've taken the spot. But that has been something, I have always been curious to go to a Kraken game. I know they're a very new team. That has been something I've been curious to get a little more involved with, but right now it's hands down Mariners.
And I have to say, because I know this, you were bereft when Toronto knocked out the Mariners. It was so close.
I didn't know whether to cry or to be angry, or I didn't know what to do. I felt defeated watching that loss. I was like, oh my, you got to be kidding me. But then the Dodgers thankfully beat the Blue Jays, so that kind of helped a little bit with the grieving process. Thank you, Los Angeles.
But I know everyone in the station was giving you grief, and they were pinning Canadian things all over your
blame
office.
John Franklin for doing that. He pinned it in both English and French.
Just in case you wanted to know. Okay, switching tacks. So what's your favorite sandwich and why?
I'm actually not a big sandwich person, believe it or not. But if I had to pick a sandwich, I guess I'd say BLT.
Oh, well, yeah, that's
a really good one.
And a rich friend or a loyal friend, which would you prefer?
Loyal. Yeah. I'm loyal, honest, be honest with me, be truthful with me. That's something that I value very much. So just be loyal, honest, and we're set.
I think that's true, and I think that very much describes you, at least the Austin that I know.
Thank
Austin, this was an absolute delight. It was so nice to get to know you a little bit better. I'm going to see you every single day, obviously. but it was just a change to sit down, have a chat, and have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
So cheers. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
For Wine Time Yakima. I say this is a free hand seller's rosé. It's very
good job. Very good.
Very nice indeed. And thank you for joining us for another edition of Wine Time Yakima. There's a new edition every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on KIMA's YouTube channel. And we've got lots of really good, interesting guests coming up in the next few weeks. A very special guest, no disrespect, coming up for our Christmas edition, which will air on Saturday, December the 20th. And then we've got a couple of compilations. So if there's any episodes that you missed, you'll be able to see some of the highlights of those in the last 2 weeks of the year. And we'll also include some outtakes as well, because there was a particularly good outtake where Nancy Lee was the guest, and we're saving that for Christmas. But I want to say a big thank you to Adam and all his team here at the Yakima Visitors Centre for hosting us again today for Wine Time. And of course, a big thank you to our producer, Maddie Madden. And we'll hopefully see you next Saturday night at 7 p.m. for another Wine Time Yakima. Austin, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
There we go.